I want to bring in an organization that helps fathers. The Canadian Centre for Men and Families is dedicated to supporting men, fathers, and families through services like therapy, legal aid, and fathering programs. Established in 2014, they also conduct research, host public education and awareness activities, and work to improve public policies to better support all Canadians. Well, joining me is Justin Trottier, founder and CEO of the Canadian Centre for Men and Families. Justin, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Well, thanks for joining me here. Happy Father's Day to you.
And likewise.
Thank you. And what inspired you to create the Canadian Centre for Men and Families?
You know, I had the benefit of having a very loving father. We were very close, he and with me and with my sister as well. But I know that a lot of children don't have the benefits of having that kind of close bond with their father for a variety of reasons. And sometimes, you know, it has to do with the father making a conscious choice. And sometimes it has to do with societal institutions and family courts and that sort of thing. And whatever the reason is, we're trying to lower the barriers that can make it tough sometimes for a father and a child to create that bond and then maintain it in the context in particular of a family breakup. We do a lot of work around separated and divorced families, legal clinics and counseling, family therapy, you named that a little bit there at the top. So we're trying to provide all kinds of resources for dads and for children to strengthen that bond, you know, help to foster it and then strengthen it even when families go through crises or even when they do break up, quite tragically. That does happen from time to time as well.
Talking with Justin Trottier, Canadian Centre for Men and Families. Very interesting and, you know, dealing with real world and issues with families. And if you could elaborate a little bit more, Justin, on specifically some of the services that are offered by your organization.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of services that we provide that are, I think, first of their kind in Canada. When we're looking in particular at that context of family breakup, we have a program called Fathering After Separation or Divorce, which, as the name implies, is focused on a dad in the context of family breakup. And it provides a variety of knowledge and know-how to navigate family court, to take care of his mental health, because that's really critical. If you're not, you know, mentally well, it's really children strong, even in the midst of that kind of crisis. There's also quite, unfortunately, and sometimes in the case of family breakup, sometimes even in intact families, instances of family violence and domestic violence, and that can happen to men just as well as it happens to women. And yet there really is very little for a man who's experiencing family violence. So we also provide a variety of programs specifically for men who are experiencing domestic abuse. There's legal clinics that are very focused on navigating family courts. Family courts are getting better, but historically they haven't been very friendly places for dads, which I find bizarre because of the importance, and research and scholarship demonstrates this, the importance of maintaining a strong bond between a father and a child, you know, in the context of that crisis of a family breakup in particular. So we really need many more resources for dads of all kinds.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point and very true. And I want to expand a little bit on that, Justin, in terms of supporting fathers, how it benefits not just the dads, but the families itself.
Oh, absolutely. So there are many ways that, you know, that is true. There's research that demonstrates that when you have involved, healthy fathers in your life, a child is bound to do better academically. Their rates of, you know, dropping out of school, their rates of underemployment are inversely correlated, so they do better in all of those measures when they have involved, healthy fathering, you know, relationships. It's even been correlated with things like incarceration rates, teen pregnancy, the chance of, you know, abusing drugs and other substances in adulthood. There's some really quite fascinating research, and unfortunately, there isn't a lot of funding to do this kind of scholarship. So we'd like to see more of that. But what has been done to date does demonstrate a very strong connection between healthy, involved fathers and the best kind of health and economic outcomes of their children. So that's for the children, but for mothers as well. When you have, you know, whether it's intact families or separated and divorced families, if a dad is empowered and supported to provide more assistance and be more involved with their children, that frees women up so that we don't just assume that women are going to be, you know, single mothers in the context of family breakup. It allows them to make choices for their lives, which they might not be able to make if we have a more traditional gender binary way of looking at the roles of men and women.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed, Matt Delavecchio here, and I'm talking with Justin Trottier. He's the founder and CEO of the Canadian Centre for Men and Families. A lot of good points there, Justin. You see it all, and what would you say are some of the most popular services that you're getting requested for?
Yeah, I think sadly, we still see a high rate of separation and divorce in our society. I think statistically it's actually come down in the last 10 years or so, but it's still fairly high. And so, legal clinics for dads that are going through separation divorce is still very popular. Family courts, I mentioned earlier, are not always friendly places for dad. Right. And the outcome very often is still to award primary or even sole custody to mothers, even when a dad is very capable and very willing and enthusiastic to maintain, a strong involvement in his children's lives. And we really favor equal parenting. We actually are pushing for that as a legislative project. We think that should be the default. When families break up, it should be 50-50 mom and dad. That's actually not the way the law works right now, but we think we should be moving in that direction because it does benefit not just the dad, but also the children and the mom as well.
And, you started this in 2014. You do some research as well, I understand. Any ones that stand out?
Yeah, well, our research is in several different areas. So we're looking at fatherhood, and we're studying the changing dynamic. It's interesting. We have a project right now. Right now, as it stands, there's actually an enshrinement in the Income Tax Act. This is a bit, maybe it's an unknown for a lot of your listeners, but right now the government actually presumes that women are the primary parent. I'm not sure a lot of feminists would like to hear that either, that presumption, but it's written into the Income Tax Act, and it has consequences in terms of who can access the Child Canada benefit and other income supplements for low-income families. Basically, if you're a dad, it's much, much harder to qualify and be eligible for these sometimes very needed income supplements if you're a low-income parent as compared to a mother. We think that our law should be gender neutral, gender inclusive, and the scholarship shows this, and we've done some research to show that the dynamics of family life have changed drastically in the last 30 to 40 years, certainly since that law was written. And at this point, single father families are the fastest growing family form in Canada. Dads have really stepped up. You can see it on the playground. You can see it in childcare classes. Dads are everywhere with their children. It's time that our social awareness and even our laws sort of catch up so that single father families.
Here. Well said, Justin. We're already out of time. Justin, how could our listeners find out a little bit more of the Canadian Centre for Men and Families?
Our website is menandfamilies.org. We're doing a Father's Day campaign all over social media. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, or I guess it goes by X now, at Men and Families. That's our handle.
Great. Thank you very much, Justin. Appreciate the good word out there.
Thanks for the chance. Bye for now.
Goodbye. That's Justin Trottier, founder and CEO of the Canadian Centre for Men and Families.